I'm Better Call Chad, and this video is gonna be about azaleas. Now, I have some beautiful flowers behind me. Unfortunately, those aren't azaleas, but for this video and a beautiful background, we'll just pretend they are. Before I get started, if my videos help you, please like and subscribe, helps the channel. If you have questions, leave them below in the comments. And if you want more information, go to bettercallchad.com. Now let's get right into this video. I'm gonna go over a lot here in azaleas. This is gonna be a longer video, but this is gonna be detailed because I'm gonna cover the different types of azaleas and what you get out of them, because that is important. Azalea is a great flowering plant you can plant here in Florida, but there's so many different types, and depending what you want and what you're looking for, knowing the different types is gonna be ideal to having the landscape you want. So this is gonna be a long video, but if you really want azaleas and you really want your landscape, be patient with me and take the time, because I wanted to make sure I went over as much as possible in this video to give you loaded with information for you to make the right decision in your landscape. These shrubs work best in actually North and Central Florida, which is great news for North Florida people, because sometimes it feels like we get left out because Central and South get all the cool tropical things. Well, North Florida, we have something this time. Now, South Florida doesn't have to feel left out though, because there are actually strands of azaleas that do grow down there. So you're not completely left out, but you are more particular, and it's a lot harder to grow the same ones here as it is in South Florida because of that heat. We're gonna start with evergreen azaleas, because evergreen azaleas hold their leaves year round, and they make a great, beautiful backdrop with their flowers when they bloom. That's why these are some of the most popular azaleas there are. Now, in the spring, they put on a show with some beautiful flowers, ranging from white to pink to red, and it depends on the cultivar as well. One of the most popular evergreen cultivars is George Tabor. These have soft pink flowers, and they grow about 10 feet tall and 8 feet wide, so these are large azaleas. Now, this is classified as a Southern Indica hybrid. It's very common here in North Florida because it's known to be very cold tolerant, being able to stand temperatures around 20 degrees without experiencing any serious damage. Now, there's some other popular indica hybrids: Brilliant, which has red flowers; Formosa, which has purple flowers; Mrs. G.G. Gerbing, which has white flowers; and the Little John, because it has more of a burgundy foliage and a deep red flower. Now, the Satsuki hybrids are mid-sized azaleas. They grow about 5 to 6 feet in 10 to 15 years. They have a wide range of colors though. You have pink, yellowish pink, red, a reddish orange, and purple. The cultivars include Flame Creeper, which are orange-red flowers, and Gumbo, which is white to pink flowers. Now, for the smaller scale azaleas, we have the Cremine hybrids. Most only grow 3 to 5 feet tall, but it does depend on the cultivar. These have pink, red, or purple flowers. They are some of the smallest, but they still bloom and have plenty of flowers. Now, we have some true dwarf azaleas, which include the red ruffle cultivar, which grows only 2 to 3 feet in size. And now Florida only has one native azalea, and that's called Champion's Azalea. So if you want to go native, that's the one. Now, the native azalea will slowly grow up to about 10 feet tall, but it will lose its leaves in the wintertime. Now, there is a native azalea called Flame Azalea. Now, this one's good for being a drought tolerant azalea, which can grow up to 8 to 10 feet tall. Now, another deciduous azalea that is native to Florida has a few different common names as pink pixer azalea, pine mont azalea, and bush honeysuckle. This shrub can grow between 6 to 15 feet tall, produces a wonderful fragrance, and has a pink flower in the early spring. Now, next we have the deciduous hybrids. Now, these cultivar varieties are made to perform well in the heat. So this will work for the Central and South Florida people a bit better. And now these azaleas are pretty large though. They'll reach up to 12 to 15 feet. Now, one called Omri Sunrise, orange to red buds. And the centerpiece will have white and yellow flowers, and Sunstruck will have different shades of yellow in their flowers. Now, there's so many types of azaleas, I can't go over them all. I did a lot of research and studying and talked to a lot of people and found the best ones. And that's the information I gave you today. So there's many more, but these are super popular, super common, and there's a lot of information out there about them. So I would recommend checking something like that out for your landscape, because we know there's information for them out there, and they're made, proven, and tested in Florida for where you want to be. And they have different hybrids, like I know Encore azaleas that bloom multiple times a year. So there's a ton of information. I try to give you as much as I can, but I feel like for azaleas, it'll never be everything. I might have to write a book as thick as a Harry Potter book to get all the azalea information in there. Now we'll go to pruning azaleas. Now, most azaleas flower from late February to early April. Now you want to prune your azaleas in late spring to early summer right after they bloom. Now, because azaleas, what we like to do is, because azaleas flower off of the oldest growth. So the less pruning you're doing and the more growth there is through the year, the more flowers you will get. So if you wait too long in the year to trim them or trim them too often, you will get a lot less blooms. So I like to say is right after they're done blooming, trim them up and leave them alone as much as you possibly can throughout the year. That's the way you will maximize bloom. Now for my South Florida folks, I haven't forgot about you. I actually have a few azalea alternatives. Even though there are some better azalea brands that can grow, there's some beautiful alternatives that work for South Florida, which is called Avira. They're actually small plants that can be grown in hanging baskets, much like orchids. They can also be used in beds as like a good border, but there's more than 300 species of this plant, which produce tons of different flowers and shapes and gives you a great tropical look. So that's something my South Florida friends should be looking into. Overall, azaleas are not really difficult to grow, but still we want to make sure we're giving it the optimal environment to get the most out of it. Now, a good thing to know is azaleas are acid-loving plants. They like a 4.5 to 6 pH. So when planting, being able to adjust that pH before you plant is gonna be ideal. Now, the other great news about azaleas though is once they're established, they actually don't need much fertilizer. The best results you'll get is adjusting the pH and putting a bunch of organic matter and some good soil in before you plant. That's really gonna be the best way, because then once they mature, the fertilization is minimal. Now, springtime is gonna be the best time to plant azaleas while temperatures are still cool. And then the best time to fertilize azaleas is gonna be late fall and early spring. Now, what type of fertilizer should you use? So there's actually both organic and inorganic options for azaleas that are formulated especially for azaleas and other acid-loving plants, which you can get in either granular or liquid form. So the inorganic fertilizer, you always want to use a slow release and make sure that the label has acid-forming product label, so you know it's for acidic plants like azaleas and camellias and other plants like that. Now, a great blend for this is going to be a 10-5-4 or like a 10-6-8. But really the most important thing is to make sure they're for acid-loving plants and for flowers. Most of these fertilizers should have azaleas and things like that on the label, so you should be able to find that before you use it. Now, a common problem of the azaleas though is yellowing of the leaves, and that's from an iron deficiency. If you're fertilizing at least once or twice a year with them with the proper nutrients, you shouldn't have a problem. But adding iron can always help with that deficiency, but too much nitrogen can definitely burn the roots, so be careful from overfeeding those azaleas. Now, of course, you can get an acid-forming organic blend as well to fertilize your azaleas. Now, we've gone over a lot about azaleas, so we're coming to an end here, and I just want to go over pretty much the most important things when you start planting azaleas. Is making sure you get the pH adjusted before, putting a lot of organic matter, some good soil, organic soil that can slowly decompose and keep feeding your azaleas over time. Getting all this done before you plant is going to make it so much easier than doing it later down the road. So make sure you can easily buy a pH meter, check the pH, and you can buy things to lower the pH that will help and make sure the soil is good and ready for your new azaleas. Now I've officially certified you as an azalea expert. I appreciate everyone watching the video. This was a long one. Thanks for hanging in there. But this information is important because your landscape's important. If you want to do stuff yourself, when you go look out there, there's so much information. And I gave you a lot of information. Well, I try to dial it down to eliminate things you know what and will work, but getting something in the range I said has been proven and tested to work. So you know, getting one of those brands, just pick something with the color that you'll be good to go. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, I always appreciate it. If you want more information, go to bettercallchad.com. Everyone have a great rest of your day.